There's a fucking weird glare going on here, but we'll see how it goes, innit? I can juggle a whole circus in my business, in my life as well. Literally, there's so many different moving components. This is how you cure it, entrepreneur ADHD. Once you go from like the bare bones, once you the second that you validate your product or whatever it is that you're doing, the second you get your first big buck in it, your first grand or whatever, that's when it's time to fuck the old like monastic focus shit. And instead of focusing on one thing, you dive into as many different things as possible. Not even because you got like because you're losing focus or it's shiny object syndrome. It's actually just whatever you built for like the entire 3 months, 6 months thing that you was doing to go all in on this. Once you've figured that out as your baseline, how long does that take to maintain? Probably like 2 to 4 hours a day. 4 hours is a push. At most, you'll be doing like 2 hours of work a day to maintain it at the level that took you all day because you've just elevated to the new level. So what do you do with all this new time? Well, whatever the bottleneck is in your life and whatever you're doing in the business, for example, I mean, it always goes back down to leads. If you ever want to do B2B stuff, just know that everything is business related. And you don't know business related until you do business to consumer. So start there. That's my personal advice. Because all B2B stuff is just going to be like straight leads, marketing, that whole thing. Then you run into sort of the marketing agency side of things and blowing up on social media. But especially when you first start your own business, so you've got your own constraint there. The constraint is almost always leads and getting people to see your stuff, which you might solve with outreach. But if you're going to do organic content, for example, or even going into ads, bro, just go all out in the organic content and do every single form there is: the YouTube, the Instagram, don't even overthink it. And the reason I say that is because the person I am on YouTube, the person that you are seeing on here is very different to the person that I am on Instagram, for example, where I come across more as a meathead. I do fitness, by the way, and on TikTok, it's just shitty old reposts. That account of mine looks horrible. Like there's nothing going on there. That's like a little side thing that I'm just like throwing out there. Same with YouTube, same with LinkedIn. LinkedIn not as much, but that's just a little bubble of what everything I'm doing. But I've just gotten to the point where I'm able to manage everything. I'm able to manage all of my businesses. I'm able to manage all of my fitness stuff as well, and especially like maintain like a social aspect of life, which a lot of guys forget. But you don't need to do too much. Maybe like once a week, twice a week at best. Always allocate time for it and be strict on that time. That's the biggest thing that I've had to worry on. And the way I'm able to, this is another thing, right? How to defeat the timing issue that you have. Because when you go on social events, the big problem isn't that you can, like, you don't need to go every day. It's just that the days that you do go, you just kind of want to stay there forever. I don't know if you get the same thing, but like when you're hanging out with a friend, for example, and it gets to like 12 o'clock and that's your cutoff point. Well, the motive's going well, you missed your brethren, so you just want to stay there for longer. And that's the little problem I found. I ended up going home at 2 a.m. and it snowballed into other, like, just brought down the rest of my habits. Sleep was ruined, next day was ruined, the morning's ruined, midday you can't do anything, and you're just back to square one, and it annoys you, it pisses you off. And the way you counteract that is just to have something better at home. One thing I do is I do my deep work block. If you can't tell already, it's like 1 a.m. in the morning. I do my deep work block at night. So every time I'm out with my friends, for example, I'm just thinking to myself, I've got better things at home. Like I'm more inclined or excited to work on my own thing than I am to stay outside. And so that's been the biggest driver of getting me back home on time. But yeah, I can balance a fucking circus with everything I'm doing. My fitness journey, the recording stuff, the editing, the outreach, the sales calls, deliverables. I'm handling everything right now and I'm loving it because it gives me so many different things to do and it keeps me occupied. I the 4 hour work week, and this is my big criticism with it, is that it's something to do in certain points of life. You don't do it the whole way. You don't build your business around the 4 hour work week. You speed run to one section, then when you get to a sustainable level, you 4 hour work week that, and then go through a phase of like enjoying whatever the hell you're doing in life, travel a bit, maybe discover yourself. I don't know what you guys do. And then when it's time to step the gear up and go to the next level, that's when you maintain this part as your 4 hour work week stuff. And you go all in just like you did before, but with this new aspect here. And on the entire time, I'm able to keep my little gym thing constant. And I'll tell you how I do that. List out your priorities. You probably have three or two. If you're anything like me, it's two or three. And it'll probably be like fitness is one thing, and then you got this other thing. But this other thing has like two separate components that you got to work at the same time. So it ends up becoming three. So first thing you do when you wake up is you just need to dedicate one work block for each task. Doesn't matter how long the other task take. We'll get into that. But from that three blocks that you create, just hit them in order. Don't do it like 1 week is this, and like once a week I'll do just this, and then the next day I'll do that and that and that. No, that doesn't work. It's unsustainable, and you kind of fall out of the groove, especially the thing you put for a week. Let's say you left all of your marketing and all your content creating for 1 day of the week. By the time the next week comes around, you don't want to do it anymore because you haven't built it in a sustainable way and you haven't done that 1 day week long enough for you to actually enjoy. So I'd 100% recommend just separating all your responsibilities into things you can do every day and then try and get that perfect day as much as possible. So this is what my routine looks like. I wake up 1 p.m. and I'm a night owl. Between 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. is the fruits of labor that I've done the night before. Let's say some guy messages me, there's a call there, boom, I'll do that. I need to make a course, I'll do that. I need to post a video or do this, I'll do that. But that 5 hours is dedicated to the gym. And so as long as I've ticked the gym box in that time, that's cool, I can move on. Then when the evening time rolls around, I don't need to think about gym again. And between 1 to 5, by the way, if nothing comes up work-wise, I will 100% dedicate my bandwidth just to thinking about the gym. I wouldn't even think about the deadline that's due at like 6 p.m. at 5 p.m. because that's gym time. Then when the evening time comes around, completely ignore the gym side, go all in on the business aspect. And that's my focus up until like 4 a.m. And in this time, I'm not thinking about the gym. In the gym, I'm not thinking about this and that. And I'm able to do it based on like times of day as well. So if you look outside and it's sunny, chances are I'm thinking about the gym. If you're looking outside and it's a bit like evening time or even nighttime, the moon's out, chances are I'm working on the business. And so by putting myself in these different stages through different times of day, I'm managing the macro focus and the micro focus and the intraday focus. It's very much like trading. So I said to my friend when he's a trader, and I was like, if you succeed at trading, you can excel at any business because you'll just see the business as trading. You could do these things every day. If the setup's not there, you don't do the setup. You know what I mean? If the coaching call isn't there, you don't do the coaching call. You look at the macro frame, the higher time frame to judge your bias. What's the priorities? The priority in life, fitness right now? Is it graduating? Is it my studies? Is it making money? Is it business? Whatever the macro is, that dictates the intraday. Whatever the intraday prioritizes, that's what you focus on in the micro. And that's where you get your 15-minute entry tactics. You go in, once you've got the macro sorted, you can say, okay, fitness is the priority now. Then you know that when you're in the intraday, your priority is working in the gym. And so that's where your peak brain energy and whatever, your diet reflects that, your day reflects that, so you can maximize the gym and the fun in that. And then in the micro section, well, what are the small things you're faffing about? If you're in a deep season of fitness, you're not going to worry about the micro actions that come in business, for example. Do I send a text out to him? How do I close him? Da, 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 da. You're not thinking about that because the bigger priority is the gym. And so that's where the intraday focus comes in. And when the micro focus comes in, is how can I autistically track my lifts? And how can I autistically engineer my split? And how can I focus on the bottlenecks? And these are the micro things on the 15-minute time chart, for example, that you need to worry about. Then on the intraday, focusing more on the gym, that's when you look at your daily routine and how can I engineer that to optimize it best for the gym, accepting that the other things may not grow as much. And one aspect of the three might even plateau, and that's okay. Because as soon as we get the gym to a level that we're acceptable at, we can go all in the other one. Or we could just switch gears. And on the daily lock, what does that look like? Well, on the daily, where your main priority used to be the gym, now your intraday, the time you're like unbothered and left alone the most, it'll be for the business. And then that's just when you switch the gears over. On the micro day, well, if your focus is on business and it's not on fitness, you wouldn't be looking at how to autistically engineer your lifts, and you just be using the strong app, for example, and just tracking your lifts through there without thinking twice. So just tracking it in a way where you don't need to think about twice. You don't need to think about at what point do I progressively overload. There's just simple rules for that. You don't need to think, oh, I've just found a new piece of knowledge that helps me exit this muscle more. You don't think about that because you're just kind of let fitness do its own thing while you focus on this other thing. And so by accepting the priority, I'm also allocating certain blocks throughout the day, you're able to just juggle all these different aspects of the circus. And that's all it is. The more things you have, the more inclined you'll be to stick around and just carry on doing it. And that's exactly what you need.